There was an older guy that said, do the alphabet thing again. You're lying. Again. But I'm hateful. This community is hateful. Anyone that questions is hateful. Beardos, weirdos, boils and ghouls, how are we all doing? Yes, Boils and Ghouls is a nod to the Crypt Keeper. People keep asking. It is. I loved Tales from the Crypt when I was a kid. Okay, we are not going to be getting into an overly long conversation beforehand. I've even put the headphones on my head already before I start. I'm not listening to anything. They're just there. Project Fear, a channel that I don't like, that I think are faking, that I think are fake to the point where they are Zach Baggins level of bullshit. I've brought out a video, a controversial conversation with Cody and Satori. And I didn't want to cover Cody and Satori, and I didn't want to cover Project Fear ever again. Because they're both scamming, they're both crap, they're both faking. I don't like it. Is this going to be the conversation that we paranormal enthusiasts deserve? Are Project Fear going to ask the hard questions, and are Cody and Satori going to answer properly? More importantly, can Satori show a level of respect to the debunkers and the debunking community that her father did? I hope that apple didn't fall that far from the tree. Jason Halls has been a perfect gentleman to me, and we've struck up a little bit of a friendship away from content. I respect that. Now let's see if his daughter can take constructive criticism the same way, answer questions without skirting around the object or poking and, you know, just generally blaming other people for being called out. Because even if you believe what your husband or fiance, whatever, is doing, you still have to accept that people are going to question it. It's only fair. Okay, I'm probably going to have to use a lot of this video, so go and check out the original Project Fear video, controversial conversation with Cody and Satori. I've got to tell people to do that. I imagine the Project Fear are waiting for the debunkers to look at this. They tend not really to engage with any of the debunkers, which is fair enough.
There's like a couple of videos out there, people like filming their feet and like doing something in their shoe and it's making like a tapping noise. Would you guys be willing to do the session with your shoes off and your socks off?
Fair play. He asked the question. He looked quite awkward asking it. Cody sort of tried to smile but grimaced and... I'll guarantee it. They will either refuse point blank to do this with their shoes and socks off, or it'll be something along the lines of, we will do it, but in our time, at a location, under certain restrictions, blah, 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 blah. And if that's the case, then they are just biding time to work out how to fake it again with their shoes and socks off. Whether they'll be using trigger devices, or somebody hiding somewhere, or multiple people hiding somewhere to keep up this lie. If they don't come clean, they're caught in a lie. They're going to have to keep this rolling, because this thing has made them famous. Okay, I will have cut his recap of his events, or his team's events at the Conjuring House, because if you guys have watched it, you've watched it. I haven't. I don't need to watch it. I know what happens. They go in there, the couple hold hands, there's knocking, the dead relatives turn up like he's just said. I'm trying to keep this as short as I can. It's quite important to note that he's just said that this was recorded on the 9th of October. Sam and Colby had recorded previously, but the Sam and Colby video hadn't come out when they recorded this. So they were unaware of the controversy. That controversy started after they had recorded this. They've brought the video out anyway, and a lot of people are going to be saying you shouldn't have brought the video out, and I agree to a degree, but they've brought the video out, and then they've, by the look of it, gone in to ask the hard questions.
And you guys hadn't had the Sam and Colby video out.
Yeah.
They just came out with their video like 2 weeks ago, and you guys have had so much like attention. But obviously with what happened with you guys, you're going to have people who are just trying to debunk it,
Yes.
So I think at some point we'll get to that, some of the heavy hitting questions, some of the conspiracies out there about like what...
What do you mean at some point we'll get to that? I thought that's what this entire thing was about. Right. All right, carry on, I guess. There's already, like, a negative connotation. Conspiracy theories. It's not a conspiracy theory for people to question the validity of somebody that can hold hands and talk to ghosts through a tapping phenomena that was debunked hundreds of years ago. It's just, come on. It's not a conspiracy theory. It is a legitimate question, and maybe you should try being a little bit more respectful of people asking these questions. You have the ability here to do good, and maybe the debunking community to go, ooh, Project Fear asked the hard questions. They were quite respectful. I can forgive one of them scratching their balls and sniffing it on camera and telling us how it smelt.
What the skeptics are saying about your abilities. So we'll get to that. For anyone watching who doesn't know, you got to go back and watch our last 2 videos. But we kind of labeled it as the CAS method, Cody and Satori method. There's the knocking method, is what kind of Sam and Colby called it.
Can you come down here? Can you come to this floor?
I'll have cut another section out. They basically use this to promote their Conjuring House video, and they show a bit of footage of the knocking phenomena. That's not what I'm here for. If you want to watch it, go and watch it. It's going to be the same thing as the Sam and Colby.
Day that you realized that you had this capability, this ability, and like, how did it happen?
Okay, so
this is going to be a difficult question for them because they're already now aware that we uncovered 11 years ago. Good old Cody was tapping like a tap dancer back then without holding anyone's hand. The alphabet method was done with another paranormal investigator. Hey, do the tapping alphabet thing again. Remember?
a lot of people ask us that question, and to answer it on accident, we didn't know we could do any of this beforehand. I mean, now looking back on it, we're noticing some things in our lives could have led up to this moment.
I've just said that it'll be a way, and they're still playing into that narrative of they accidentally discovered this. The guy could do it on his own 11 years ago. There's video footage. You can't not acknowledge that.
But definitely didn't have the kind of communication we had until we first met,
Right.
August of 2018.
It was, and I was a part of TAPS, you know, her dad's team.
It's quite funny that you should say that you were a member of TAPS with a toe tapping.
For about 5 years before Satori had an interest in joining the team. And then one day we get a message that Satori wants to come out and join the team. So we're like, okay.
I'm not saying it.
We get to the location, and Satori and I, of course, are teamed up right away because we were the closest in age, and we thought the place was really active. We had a lot of knocking sounds, there were some lights flickering. We're like, wow, this is really cool. Mm-hmm. And then eventually the rest of the team is like, wait a minute, maybe you should guys should go off and experiment with this, because it seems to only be happening when you two are working together.
It's happening because you're tapping your toes. And at this point, I imagine that Satori was completely unaware that it was you tapping your toes, because nobody had seen that video from 11 years ago.
And around each other. So we went to a private residence case, and we stayed up the entire night just kind of experimenting.
And to be completely clear and honest, the spirits are just as confused as we are when it comes to communicating. We've tried, when we first started doing this, I believe the first thing we ever spelt out from a spirit was, how is this happening? Or how is this possible? Something like that. And so it's just showing that they were just as confused as us. So it's not like they know what they're doing. It was almost like we all figured it out, you know?
Right, and the alphabet kind of evolved over time.
No, it didn't. You did it 11 years ago with some dude. You just didn't have to hold his hand.
Of course, once for yes, twice for no, because most groups, that's what we're always asking for.
Right.
And then it evolved to, well, you know, if you're out there and you're okay, knock 3 times, and then 3 times. And eventually we got to the alphabet, thinking of Ouija boards and things like that. And
I have a question.
You are talking out of your ass, sir. It didn't evolve. It didn't... Ooh. You know, this, 1 tap. Ooh, let's try 2. Let's try 3. Ooh, a Ouija board has letters. You were doing this 11 years ago. You did the alphabet thing 11 years ago. You're lying. 5 minutes into this video. And 4 minutes of it has been Project Fear introducing and playing past content to show where all this has come from. You've lied a minute and a bit in there. I'll cut another section here where they just talk about how Cody was brought into TAPS, how Satori was brought into TAPS, the dates and all of that. That's not really relevant to what I want to know. I mean, that information is readily available Wikipedia, taps episodes, whatever you want to do. That's not what I'm looking for here.
Have you guys asked the question, like, why this is happening to you guys specifically, or like why this is, what it is about you two that is making this thing actually happen? Because you guys have said before, when we've talked, that you guys have, grabbed other hands of people and it doesn't work.
Yeah, we definitely don't think we're the only ones, for sure. Since Sam and Colby's videos have come out, we've been contacted by people who have been trying this and saying that they're starting to get little results. But I just think when this is just my opinion, when certain living energy works together really, really well. So I don't think we're just singled out. It definitely seems that maybe it's a little more direct with us for some reason, and we just don't know why.
Right.
We are taking it very seriously, though. So, like, we, make certain rules for ourselves, things that we can't do. Like, we can't take money from the people directly that we're helping with this.
Not directly, you can't, no, but you have a website, you do paid events, and yet still taking money.
This method of communication. We're also acknowledging that the only reason we feel that we have this is for the sole purpose of helping other people. So it's like, it's not for us, and the only thing we can do is help other people with it. So like that's kind of the things that we've developed with it as well.
If your sole reason for doing this is helping people, then the second you were called out for fakery, you should have whipped off your shoes and socks and said, look, this is real. Because while you have this controversy surrounding you, which has now been going on for 4 months, all of the people that you have helped, all of the people you have done readings for, all of the people that you have done the tapping for, are now put into question as to whether they have been scammed, whether they have really spoken to a deceased loved one. Everyone that's paid good money to go to the Conjuring House that has had this tapping may feel conned. This is 4 months too late.
Jason Hawes, he's a huge figure in the paranormal. He's literally started this. If you're into the paranormal, you know Jason Hawes.
Yes.
So what does your dad think of these abilities that you guys have?
Okay, all right. So, my dad at first was very skeptical, which obviously I even was. So that makes perfect sense. Be skeptical. My dad was like, okay, how is this happening? Are they finding information? Things like that. Obviously, he doesn't want to assume that about me, but obviously he's going to look into it because he's Jason Hawes. So we started doing sessions and things, and then things would start happening. Like he would witness private sessions, and people would be crying because they found out information that you can't search up on the internet. Like we were confirming things that happened in privacy. It went from skepticism to he's definitely like, I don't know how it's happening. It's happening. You can't disprove it. He's tried. And so whatever.
You can disprove it. And your father has agreed that it warrants further exploration, further questioning, which is what Project Fear are doing here. I feel like we've just been spun a line by Cody and Satori. I'm sorry. I respect Jason Hawes. I am so far not respecting this interview that seems to be... It's not probing enough. It's just... Cody and Satori are great. Look, we have to ask this question. But taps are great, yo. Yeah, taps are great, but it's got nothing to do with you paying the Conjuring House.
2 weeks ago, Sam and Colby's videos come out. You guys get all this exposure. Hundreds of thousands of people following you now. Yes. And obviously with that, you have people that are going to hate, and they're hating, and they're hating. So what does your dad think about, this?
We don't hate, you buffoon. It is not hateful to question. It is not hateful to ask questions. It is not hateful to say, I can see his ligaments moving. It is not hateful to say, I can see him rocking on his foot to shift his weight. It is not hateful to say he did this 11 years ago. That is factual, not hateful. This is the bullshit that pisses me off and winds me up. Anytime a fake paranormal team can't get their own way, we're haters. How dare we? Absolute bullshit.
This newfound, kind of fame, really.
Yeah, the spotlight.
And then what does he tell you, or what's his advice when you do get these haters or these skeptical people trying to debunk you?
Yeah.
Well,
haters, skeptical people trying to debunk you. Whoever that guy is needs to shut the fuck up. You're twisting the narrative already. You're trying to make out that we're bad people for questioning. Jason Hawes debunks. He's always debunked. Jason Hawes, watched my video, brought out a video saying, hey, go and check out this guy Beardo. He's asking relevant questions. He has the right to ask these questions. No hate. This idiot is now labeling with hate again, just because they don't like the conversation and the questions being asked by people with an ounce of common sense. Because that's all you need to start asking these questions, is an ounce of common sense. Can the dead talk through people tapping, or is it a con? That's not hateful, it's a question.
Something we
Some
care.
of it's been quite comical, to be honest.
It's
too.
been kind of funny.
We've gotten a laugh out of some of it. Just some of the theories that people are coming up with, like we're aliens and...
Yeah, we were joint popping, and I'm like, Cody had cancer. If he popped a joint, it wasn't
not
going
going back
back. Like, you know, like things like that.
Being on the outside.
What sort of cancer means that you can't pop your joint without it going back? I mean, you can get bone cancer, I suppose. And I am not going to be rude or horrible enough to say, prove it. I want to see medical records and all that. I'm not asking for that. But on account that you're caught in a lie, and it seems that the lie, you're lying to keep the lie. I'm trying to word this without coming across as hateful. You throw the word cancer into the mix, and suddenly people stop questioning. It's a fact. It makes people uncomfortable. I'm now uncomfortable. Genuinely, I hope he's well. I hope he's clear. I hope it never rears its ugly head again. Cancer is a vicious, vile illness that has affected my family deeply. And I hope that this isn't a lie.
All these people have these theories and stuff, so this is like, it's good just to like, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
One question is like the rules, like who makes the rules?
That's a good question. I don't think we know.
Okay.
So the first night that we really figured this out, when we established communication,
11 years before you met her, so where's the we coming from?
they just came across with all of this stuff.
Yes. Stern.
Are Project Fear going to mention that 11 years ago he was doing this on his own? Or are they going to completely ignore that?
I just want to ask about like the alphabet method. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, who started it?
Can I take credit for the alphabet thing?
Yeah.
No, you can't! You can't take credit for the alphabet thing because this guy was doing it 11 years before you. And why is he suddenly sweating? There. Sweat. Maybe it's the studio lights. You can't take credit for something he was doing on his lonesome 11 years prior.
I think it was me. I was like, hey, can we spell out things? And that's how we got the how is this happening? How is this possible? And to be quite honest,
No. There was an older guy that said, do the alphabet thing again. You're lying. Again. But I'm hateful. This community is hateful. Anyone that questions is hateful. Who thought these pair were aliens? That's a little bit much.
I totally stole the idea from a Ouija board. I was like, let's be a human Ouija board, you know, and see if we could do it. And
when was that moment?
that was the overnight when we first figured out it was a couple months after we met. And we were at an overnight case, and that's where we had somebody come through and be like, how is this possible? And that's when we had the rule thing happen and all that.
Yeah, I think Satori won that one for sure.
I guess we'll get right into some of the online questions /
Okay.
conspiracies. So it's been weeks. There's Reddit pages. There's TikTok pages. There's people saying things. You know?
I don't want to look. I haven't been looking.
You guys
Neither have I. Maybe I should.
haven't been like, so you guys haven't like looked at what some people are like speculating is going on?
We haven't ourselves looked at really anything unless it was brought to us by somebody we know. So we haven't been looking for anything.
So I guess starting off, what have you guys heard that like you guys want to talk about? Like, let's put it in your
Right.
The biggest thing is I think, misunderstanding between the financial things. That's what, and also some of how our method is similar to that of the Fox sisters
Right.
during the spiritualist movement.
Okay, I'll have skipped a section again here where they're talking about the Fox sisters. You can watch this entire thing for yourself. I've got no desire to... I don't need to put that in my video because it don't matter what they say. That's where they came from.
Of the Fox sisters.
And I think the big thing that because the Fox sisters, one of the sisters later in life, like admitted, like it was just
All fake.
our joints popping and our wrists and
Yeah.
our ankles. So there's people out there who are saying, well, this is either Cody or Satori's, something in their body, their joints are popping. It's
Yeah.
like, what do you say to those people?
She admitted it. Yeah. She didn't.
Because that's one of the biggest theories right now.
Yeah, so the unfortunate thing about film is you can't convey direction very well. Like when you're in the room in person, at least when Satori and I do this, you can hear footsteps coming in from different directions.
You can convey very well in film. You see, microphones are directional. Cameras are directional. You are surrounded in these videos. There are multiple cameras. We can work out where sounds are coming from. You can't pull that stunt. You can't use, but video isn't directional. Yes, it is. You can watch a movie today, and when somebody's creeping up on someone, if you've got a headset on, the sound will come from behind you.
We've had it coming on the walls before, on the floors above us, below us. So that's one thing that's hard to convey on film. But you know, it's just one of those ridiculous things that it's just unfathomable in our minds that could even be possible for the length of communication that we have and the sound level and everything else. It's just...
It is unfathomable to you that people question it, the sound, and questioning that spirits, the dead, are talking through tapping. That's absolutely fine. But for somebody to question it, ridiculous. This guy's pissing me off.
And
Just a crazy thought.
when we first started coming out about this, we acknowledged the Fox sisters. We acknowledged that history, that spiritualist religion and the spiritualist movement. If you do your research on their method compared to our method, you will find a lot of differences. There's a lot of conspiracy about, them coming out, about it being fake, but also if you do your research, you find that they were offered money to do that and they were financially struggling, and then they recanted the statement. So you wonder, was it actually fake?
Yes, it was. It was all about money, all the time. And the reason they were in financial difficulty was because they were caught faking. People stopped buying into the bullshit. And at some point, that day is coming for you, Pay.
Also, there's different things like you weren't allowed to see under their dresses, supposedly, from some skeptic claims, like their feet under their dresses. You weren't allowed to, they answered questions about the future, accepted money, things like that.
They also used to use cheesecloth and flour and water and things to produce ectoplasm. Scientists investigated these things and proved them ultimately to be fraudulent. I did my research.
If you do your research.
If
I did.
it's that, if that's what you're doing, it has to be your wrist or it has to be like your knee or your foot.
Yeah.
That's the only possible thing. So how do we go about disproving that one day to people? What's the step? Because
How do we go let's cross it off the list, show everybody it's not them doing something.
So we got really big out of our comfort zone to do this experimentation thing with Sam and Colby that we did.
Yep, it's really uncomfortable to wear slippers. I'm wearing slippers now. Can't hammer toe though, I've got hobbit feet.
And we did what we were comfortable with and what the spirits were comfortable with, because there are some things that we can and we can't do. But
You are uncomfortable with doing anything that could show that he is tapping his toes or popping his ligaments and joints. It is as simple as that. Get the guy in a pair of Speedos and film his feet. I hate feet. I don't want to look at feet. It disgusts me. I have a foot phobia. Ugh. Flip-flops should be made illegal. Anyone that wears flip-flops should be put in jail. That's a bit much. I don't like feet. But you need to... You know where I'm going? It needs to be shown. And this skirting around the issue... I know what's coming. I know what's coming. They are going to say, we will do this barefoot in a location of our choosing, under our own circumstances, and it'll be when we tell you. Why do I think that's coming? Because when they choose the location, when they choose the environment, when they choose who's there and who's filming and all the rest of it, they can fake it easier. They could have people hiding in places. They could have audio tracks overlaid. There is a multitude of ways they can now keep up this lie, because this is 4 months too late and they are going to stall. I can see it coming. Maybe it's my psychic abilities. I'll ask my resident spirit guide. Derek, please don't let me down with some stupid comment. Please tell me, am I right?
Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick.
Derek! I'm not even sorry.
The big thing is that I like to look at it like this, for one. If we were to give no way for people to have any sort of skepticism, and they're not meant to believe in this yet, or they're not meant to have these experiences, or they won't take it well, what would happen tomorrow if we proved it for certain? You know, like, would that, like, create chaos? You know, like, that's something I'm afraid of, for one.
No. What you would do is earn a shit ton of money from Kenny Biddle, because if you could ultimately prove it to Kenny Biddle, there's a substantial reward out for it. If you're not doing this for money, take that reward and give it to the charity of your choice. It's a lot of money that could do a lot of good. You could turn this circus into something positive if you could prove it. But that's not coming, is it?
Also, I feel like we did really prove it in any way we could that was within our comfort zone on Sam and Colby. You know, we're not obviously popping our joints or anything. You can see, you know, my arms in the videos. And Cody, again, I like to make this joke. If Cody popped a joint, it wouldn't be going back in because he has really bad bones and joints from cancer, things like that.
I have thoughts on that entire thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical expert. And I think it would be really insensitive of me to question his cancer. I am not saying he has made up his cancer. I know people have done. People do it for all sorts of reasons. I am not going to sit here and say, you've got to prove that. But without delving into your medical history and your cancer, pop a joint. Right now, just on video in front of them. He could do this. Watch. Crunch his fingers and then go, look, my fingers are all screwed up because of my cancer. Or my fingers are all screwed up because I have a bone condition. Whichever way you want to put it, you are skirting around the object and using the big C that everyone gets uncomfortable around. I'm sorry to say that it reeks of excuses.
What's going on with your bones from the cancer?
I've already had one hip replacement. I'm going to have my second hip replacement this coming February.
Looks like Swiss cheese.
So unfortunately, because of all the treatment and everything, my bones have really deteriorated and stuff. So that's just one of the theories that we kind of laugh about because it's just
your hip has got sod all to do with a hammer toe. It is literally, if this is your toe, you do this inside your shoe, and then this little knuckle, you pop that. That's all they're doing. A 10-year-old boy showed us all how easy it was. This is the movement. That has got nothing to do with your hips. At the same point, if you've had cancer treatment, your bones are screwed, this could play havoc with you, potentially leading to a hip replacement. Just saying, you keep popping the same thing over and over again, it's going to do damage. Potentially, as far as your hip.
just when you're there in person, it's totally different than watching it on camera. So you have the noises for one thing, and then you have the information that comes through, which is the other big thing. We definitely stepped out of our comfort zone completely by, going on videos and things like that. I don't know. It's interesting seeing people's different, opinions on it.
Believe it or don't, we're still going to be waking up tomorrow and doing the same thing. So, it's just one of those things.
Right.
There's some people, and this is just a question, they don't even have a theory to it, but the question is why does it seem like you're always asking the questions and reciting the alphabet and then you aren't? Like, is there a reason for that?
No, it's just because I do most of the talking, to be completely honest.
I'm more the quiet one anyway. I've always been more the quiet. I think I sound very boring.
If people want to...
It's because Cody is too busy concentrating on ABCD. Click. That's the be-all and end-all of it.
to see Cody doing the talking and reciting, He can do it. Like we'll make sure to do it the next time we ever do, if we do it again for big YouTube or
I think
something
it's
like
important
that.
because, like, when I saw that question, the only reason I'm bringing it up because then I started to think about our footage. I'm like, oh yeah, like you really were talking most of the time.
I go so fast too. That's also something else a lot of people say, like, you go through the alphabet and talk so fast. I'm like, because I want to get as much as I can out in such a short amount of time.
Okay, so what you guys do is obviously like altruistic. It's good.
Yes.
You believe it's fully like created for good.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And there's also like this element that you guys were talking about, or at least you were talking about, Satori, that like you don't want people to like have the ability to disprove every single thing. Don't you think though, like if people could just disprove everything, like all, that whole list, if we had a list of things and you could just check them all off and people were like, yes.
I don't think people would. I mean, there's some individuals out there that no matter what you show them, they're still not going to.
I could have a spirit sit
We
right
could do
here
this for
next to me,
days.
and
We
nobody
have.
would.
We have. We've done it. We've been there and done it. And you know, we've definitely learned that there's some people that you just can't change their mind.
And there are
Cody Satori, I am up for you changing my mind. I would love nothing better than for you guys to be able to prove 100% that the afterlife is real. You see, you're falling into this trap of all debunkers are evil, the debunkers are naysayers, and they will never believe anything. A lot of the debunkers are actually believers that think this con cheapens our belief system. And you're going to ignore that and just keep raining down with this hate thing. Prove me wrong. I would love to be proved wrong and to know that my grandparents and my best friend are potentially out there and I could have a conversation with them. And the reason I get so pissed off is my best friend took his own life and I have been trying for the last 5 years to talk to the guy and I can't do it. So please prove me wrong. Please bring me out to the States in a controlled environment and get my best friend to speak to me. Take me up on that offer. You want to do good. You want to prove yourselves. I'm your guy. While I'm not the biggest channel on YouTube, I have quite the following. Quite the following of people that you think are haters. Prove me wrong. You prove. A lot of these people are going to be like, holy shit. Some people, you are correct, will never ever believe. Ever. But the way to do it is simple. We go to a room. A carpeted room. You take your shoes and socks off. You do your hold your hands thing, which still was debunked 11 years prior. Which is still being debunked because he could do it 11 years prior. You take your shoes and socks off. You have a camera on your feet. You have a camera on your arms. Camera on your face. You allow me. You talk to me. And you conjure up my best friend. You then do your thing. And then you tell me what my best friend is telling me. Now, bearing in mind, I know that guy. I knew that guy inside and out. And you could find out certain things from the internet about him. You could find out certain things from the internet because of stories I've told about him, because of tattoos that I've got in memoriam to him. You could find a lot of information really quickly. But you'd never know the person unless he's really there with you. So please prove me wrong. I would absolutely fall completely in line and tell the entire world we were wrong about you guys. You guys are the real deal. I don't think you can do it. I'm up for getting my mind changed. And this is the reason I do what I do. And this is the reason I get so aggravated by, oh, you're hateful. I'm not hateful for searching for the truth. I am not hateful for trying to communicate with my best friend that I have got unfinished business with because I reached out to him 8 hours before he left this world. And he couldn't tell me how bad he was feeling. This is the most personal you will ever get me in a video. And it's with good reason. Because you are poo-pooing away anyone that questions you without a single thought or care for the hundreds of thousands of people that have seen this method and gone, I could speak to, and then just insert the love of their life, their children, their parents, their siblings, their best friends. You claim that you do this for good. Prove it. Put your money where your mouth is. Go and prove yourself to Kenny Biddle. Take that reward money and then give it to charity if you can 100% prove it. Clearly, you guys have to trust Kenny Biddle. You don't have to trust me. But if you can prove me wrong If you could fix that thing that is going to haunt me until the day that I leave this mortal coil about my best friend, I would be your biggest supporter and I would argue your case anyway come hell or high water. But I would have to prove it 100%. And I would be able to prove it because there are things that are not online and I don't think you would be able to conjure that stuff up. I didn't expect to get this deep into it, this emotional about it, but you know, I'm consistently called toxic, nasty, a bully, all of these things just because I want the truth, and the reason I want the truth is I lost my best friend. Okay, took a little 5-minute break there.
Some people, and the reason we say what we say is because there are some people that we have done this for and we've gone out of our way to try to prove ourselves to in a private setting, and it's done more harm than good for them. Like mentally, you know, like they weren't ready for it. Religiously, they weren't ready for it. Like, you know, like...
I'm not religious. I'm ready. Prove me wrong, pretty please. I bet you will never, ever even acknowledge the fact that I have just given you what could be your biggest out. And it's not because I'm an asshole. It's because I try to be fair with everyone. But, you know, we've been labelled haters in this video. And you're poo-pooing away the questions. Like, we're all bad people for questioning. We're not bad people for questioning. We've had bad life experiences that make us question.
They literally had a negative effect from what we did.
So... someone did a little Reddit post and they were talking about how, Cody, you created a company called Des Tech, which is like paranormal equipment, ghost hunting equipment. So there's a theory out there that this could be explaining the knocking noises. Like, this guy used to make paranormal equipment. Really? Like, why? Like, what could he be doing? Like, maybe, like, the theory is...
Why are you laughing? It's a legitimate question. I don't... the reason they're laughing is they know this is 100% wrong. They haven't laughed at the toe popping and the joint manipulation. They were very stern, very serious, because they know they rumbled. When they mention that potentially he's... the question that's come in is he's got a device in his shoe that they have ultimately proved didn't happen with Sam and Colby. They did by wearing the slippers and all the rest of it. This part is now funny because they are 100% in the right here. It's not equipment. How ridiculous. Don't laugh at people questioning this.
Is that you built something since you've made all these pieces of equipment, and that's what the knocking is. It's an actual piece of equipment.
Cody sold cat balls.
I made 2 pieces of equipment that I never sold. It was just me and my friend Dustin Perry. We made some, pieces of equipment that had to do with EVP work.
And Dustin still uses the DR60.
So people were talking about how we moved at one point during the session. Like, we swayed or we moved our leg. And I'm like, but I need to breathe. Like, I need to move, This is the most condescending bullshit out there. She is, and I apologize to Jason, you're not going to like what comes out of my mouth. She is very condescending and making a mockery of people questioning. And Jason Halls, you trained us to question. He just looks pissed the entire time. He always just looks like he's cunning something up in his brain. They're conjuring something and it ain't ghosts. It's bullshit. Like
it's like one of those things where it's such a fantastical and bizarre thing that's totally not normal of this that actually happened, that people are going to be very inquisitive and it's going to be hard to grasp reality if this is like all whatever.
I'm glad that guy just checked his watch. Like, how long until we ask to take the shoes and socks off? Because that's where I'm at right now. I wanted to give Cody's story the benefit of the doubt a little bit. And we are 22 minutes into a 33-minute video, and they have skirted, batterweed, and ridiculed everything. This is not respectful. This is an exercise in making Cody and Satori look good, whilst making anyone that questions them look bad, and it fucking stinks.
Sam and Colby had a lot of unique stuff come through, and then we did too. Like, we had stuff that blew our minds that came through. Yeah. But then they haven't done it for us yet, but someone did put together like a video where they like found the information that you guys are saying. Like, they found his grandma, they found the obituaries and all this stuff. And then when we, after our even experience and we saw that, I actually could find some of the stuff, like the cigar stuff, and then everything to do with our grandpa I could find, whether it was on the internet or like my mom's Facebook page. Yeah. So what do you say?
Facebook is the internet, dumbass.
To the people that think that you're researching this, memorizing it, and then making it happen?
So there's a couple points on that. For one, I wonder if, and this is just come to my head, they're obviously doing the research after watching the video. So they already have, I believe Sam's grandmother's the nickname. It was a nickname we came up with, I believe. So did they search that nickname and then Sam's,
No, we didn't, because when you search the nickname, nothing comes up. You search for Colby, you search the family history, you look for obituaries, there's the nickname in 3 clicks. Don't bat that away like it's nothing. Within 3 clicks of the internet, they can delve into history. Mythos being the guy that delved in really deep and showed us how easy it is. Also, bear in mind, you guys are in the States where the freedom of information over there is insane. In the UK, it's a lot harder to find stuff out online, like criminal records and things like that. In the States, you can pay $2 and get somebody's entire criminal history check done.
Because would you have found that if you just searched up Sam's grandmother, say full name, then grandmother?
Without having the name of the...
Without having that nickname already from the video? I wonder if, you would have found it as easily, but then...
Yes, this is how it's done. Ooh, The Conjuring House. Wow, look at the price on that. Wow, I'm a paranormal investigator that wants to film. I need to remortgage. Okay, booking in details. My name, my address, my age, my bank details, my social security number. Insert this, insert that, insert the other. Cool. All that information is then readily available to you. So, Colby Brock rocks up. Colby Brock. Let's just pretend for a split second that I'm a muscular, dark-haired man with a very deep voice like this. Colby Brock, booking in to the Conjuring House. Colby Brock. You go to Google, you type in Colby Brock family. Oh, there's some people in his family. Let's look at the family history. Let's look for obituaries. There they are. Hey, look, it's even got a nickname on the gravestone. It's even got the nickname on the obituary in the paper. You can go to libraries and check obituaries in our country, in your country. It's quite easy to do. And you're making out that it's only easy to do after the fact. You're doing it after the fact because these people are booking in with names, bank account details, social security numbers, dates of birth, all the rest of it, the waivers you have to do. Everything is at your fingertips in seconds. It is a digital age. You can't just shoo that away.
How would we remember that, do it without anybody ever seeing it, and then accurately
one of you would have to have a, what's it called?
Photographic memory.
A photographic
That's
memory.
literally the only way.
You would have to have a photographic memory. No. Psychic mediums have been doing this shit for hundreds of years. You cold read, and in this case, you read up on the internet. You don't remember every single thing about the entire family history. One of you leads the questions, the mouthpiece. The other one taps away. You remember one grandparent, one parent, a couple of names. Bearing in mind, there's only going to be 2 surnames. Remember the first names, the fact that a lot of families name themselves after each other. For example, my first name is a family name. A lot of people in my family have the same name. Give me 10 minutes and I could do this. If I could pop my toes if I could do the hammer toe, which I can't because of my weird hobbit feet, I could do what you guys do. Somebody books into the Conjuring House as a couple of weeks. I could memorize the script. How do you think actors do it for movies? But you've only got to get specific questions. You only have to get specific things. Ooh, look, dead Aunt Lily. Dead Aunt Lily. Right, as soon as we say Lily, he's going to get upset and then we can just lead him. We could just lead him because he'll forget about anyone else in his family that's dead. And if they question, don't forget good old dead Uncle Rob, who was killed by a tractor. Yeah, it's that easy. Come on. You don't need a photographic memory. Project Fear are leading this to make it look like they're asking the hard questions, but they're not. They are feeding into this bullshit.
I can barely spell my own name, so we can just...
Satori. It is a unique name.
Prove me, right there.
Yeah, and I know there's cases that we go to where we're just...
Because you say you can't spell your own name disproves nothing. What you've just said there, anybody can do. And anybody can do it in seconds. Like, I am the god of thunder. I just can't conjure a lightning bolt right now because I'm in my house. There's no difference. You are being purposely obtuse. I think you're being quite rude. I think you're being quite disrespectful of people with legitimate questions. You just think everything is aimed at you, just playing everything off as hate, when in fact, people like me are genuinely wanting the truth, and you guys are skirting around the object, calling people names, mocking, laughing. He's looking pissed off. This does not look good for you guys at all. I didn't want this video to go this way. I knew I was going to call bullshit by the end of it, but holy shit, I was not expecting this shit show.
Just brought.
There was stuff we could find, but once again, it means one of you has a photographic memory.
Yeah.
But that is one of the theories being floated.
Yeah.
It's like, because people are finding this information.
Rightfully so. That's a good theory.
It is a good theory.
Yeah, I mean
It is
that's one that would make sense, but
So there's a video going around from 11
But what? Why did you cut that? Now I'm suspicious of everything from both parties.
years ago. It's on TikTok, and
Ooh, he's done the 11 years ago.
it's a video of you, Cody, doing an investigation. Must have been for like one of the random teams you worked
Yeah.
for. And
first team.
Oh, Attleboro, right?
Yep.
I think, yeah, like the start of the video, there's a guy in there and he says something like, Cody, do the ABC thing you were doing.
Yeah.
And then you start counting the ABCs, and you guys eventually
Look at the mocking! Oh. If I didn't have the level of respect I do for your father, I'd be in a very different territory right now.
end up spelling the name Bill, and then it says like, yes, it's Bill.
His name like we did in the past with the alphabet.
All right. So I'm going to ask you, try figuring out your name here. I'm going to go through the alphabet, and when I get to the first letter of your name, I want you to give me a knock. A. B.
First letter is B.
I.
So is it one for yes, two for no? Is it B-I? Is it Bill? Is your name Bill?
That was a four. That wasn't the four.
So his name is Bill.
So there's people out there, like the big theory, other than the sisters, is like, Cody's been doing this well before he met Satori.
Mastermind.
Yeah, I mean,
Was it like the click?
I'm glad you're fucking laughing, pal, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're vile. You are absolutely vile.
Or the like how
With
are
the knocks.
same? Okay, similar.
it's definitely not as intense as what we experienced.
Yeah.
But it is weird for people. But before I even say my opinion, like, what do you guys have to say to that?
So it's weird. So when things are happening like that, I mean, back then that was my first group, and when stuff happens like that, you don't think that you're part of that. It's just an experience that's happening, right? And there's been times where we've had some interactions with banging sounds and things like that, and whether I'm a part of that happening, with energy-wise.
Because that is one of those theories where you're like, okay, like, he is doing the ABCs, he is getting knocked, so it's definitely, that was the one that's like, okay, I mean, I see why people are being somewhat skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you also wonder, like...
You said 20 minutes ago that you came up with this Satori. You've avoided that. You've avoided that from your own mouth now that these guys have asked it. I don't think that this was prearranged, the questions, to be fair to Project Fear. But look at him. He's like chewing on his lips. He knows they've fucked up, yeah? And he is biting down on his lip like shit. They must know that the debunkers are going to go hard at this. I was going to release this video Monday or Thursday next week. It is 9 a.m. Saturday. I'm going to get this edited and premiering tonight in the UK because this needs to get out ASAP.
Was it the start of something that's now here? Because, I mean, when I was younger, I used to see things all the time. And even still now, sometimes when we do this, I'll sometimes see things.
And maybe that was just an unknown start to what's become.
I think the thing that's throwing people up is the ABC thing, because they're like, what? I thought he said he never did that, and like, whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah.
On top of that video,
What do you mean? I don't know. You've got them in front of you. You could push harder. I understand you're trying to be respectful, but you've asked the hard question and then gone, I don't know, I accept that. No.
video of the whatever, the old video of knocking. There's like a couple of videos out there, people like filming their feet and like doing something in their shoe, and it's making like a tapping noise.
if you listen carefully.
And that is the exact same sound that I heard outside the Conjuring house.
You can control the loudness.
And like it kind of, it's the same people who think the Fox sisters.
Oh, joint popping stuff?
So there's like there's one video of a guy like doing something. I don't know what he's doing inside his shoe with his toes, but it is like popping. It's making a weird noise. So like, would you guys be willing to do the session with your shoes off and your socks off, just to show people like, look at our feet. We are not popping our joints.
So the first thing sort of plays into the whole I don't want to force everybody to believe, because I wonder what that would happen to society if we did that. But also
Objection, Your Honor. Misleading.
another part is, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't want my foot fetished on the internet. So I don't know if I want to do that.
You can keep your shoes on. You're not popping your foot.
So I'm just completely real with you guys. I don't know, maybe there have been some people in privacy, and they can speak to it if they want to come forward and talk about it, that have seen it without shoes on. But it was a very...
I don't believe somebody you put forward to see, yep, that's it. I need to see it for myself, or somebody that I trust to see it for themselves. I would take the word of Kenny Biddle, despite the fact that Kenny Biddle is a good friend of your father's. I would believe Kenny Biddle. I don't believe this at all, and your arguments back are bullshit.
Very closed, very, quiet, setting where we had privacy, things like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's their thing to tell. But I don't know if I'd want to do it for everybody, because then they're going to jump to the next thing that we're faking it somehow with.
Or like, what about not today, since we are running out of time, but like, would you at some point in the future, if we ever did another video, would you be willing to do it with us, or even off?
This is where my prediction comes true, and they say, do you know what, we'll do it on our time, our turf, our environment.
Camera, or just to show one of us, not even all of us?
Maybe off camera.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'd have to see if the spirits would want to do it.
I think that'd be a great way, even if it's just to like us and some...
Project Fear, you fake your paranormal videos. Your guy's word means absolutely nothing to me. Taking the word of a fake paranormal channel to disprove or to prove that these fakers are indeed real would be like, it would be about as much use as accepting a dinner invitation from Hannibal Lecter after you've rear-ended his car. Absolute trash.
People so that we can come out even stronger, like, guys, we saw it with their feet.
We saw their feet.
You're never going to please.
I mean, I can't remember the blonde lady's name from Project Fear, but she don't look impressed.
No matter what, whether you say you did or not.
But would you even like take that step, even as gross as you don't want your feet out there, like just to prove to these people? Because it is like, to me, the easiest way to disprove the joint thing is like, let's just film their feet and show you it's not their joints.
Yeah, maybe someday off camera we'd show you. Just because, again, I just am super weird about the feet. But yeah.
I am super weird about feet. They disgust me. I don't know why. Maybe I was dropped on my head as a baby. I haven't got a clue. But when you're being questioned for being con artists, which is what I think you are, because look at that smirk on his face, you have to prove yourselves right and prove every naysayer wrong. Instead of copping out with, I don't want my feet on the internet for the perverts. It's not your boobs. It's not his ding-dong. Sorry, I'm a child. And I gotta be careful what I say for YouTube. It's feet. Just because I'm grossed out by them and she's grossed out for them doesn't mean he can't just whip off his shoes and socks whilst people are questioning that it is his feet making those noises. And now he's just got this grin on his face like, got rid of that one. Dodged that bullet.
Maybe someday off camera.
Okay.
Just so that people like us can come forward and say, guys, we've seen it with their shoes off, with their socks off. It's not their joints. It'd be great, I think, to eventually put it to the test, because we're not here to obviously prove or disprove. It's not our job, and it's not your job either. But
it is their job. You're right, it's not your job. But you've taken a bold step in questioning, but this has been a waste of time for you guys. For me, it has set up more questions, and I'm now more pissed off than I ever started with this.
I think there are some things we could do that would be like...
silence all the haters.
Silence at least the big theories.
And also, like, when we're dealing with something that's actually potentially, like, changing people's viewpoints on, like...
He's checking his watch again, like, Jesus, are we still falling for this bullshit? Okay, so ultimately Project Fear asked the questions we've all been asking. They didn't push as hard as any skeptic would like, but fair enough. Look at what they do for a living. They fake the paranormal for a living. These guys started off mocking Ghost Adventures. Zach employed them and gave them a show. They fell out of favor. They come over to YouTube, but ultimately it's all fake. It's all over dramatized. They've been caught faking I don't know how many times. There is no stock in these guys as legitimate paranormal investigators that we should take the word from. And ultimately, Cody and Satori have said no. We're not willing to do that. We're not willing to do that on camera. We are not having our feet put out on display. You've proved nothing. Now, for my own peace of mind, you could take your shoes and socks off in front of me and me not record, and then I would be able to say, Jesus Christ, they're right. But then that's only me saying something on the internet. Still no proof. And the get out of jail free card is they'll just move on to the next thing. Well, absolutely, because you have had 4 months to work out your get out of jail free card. Maybe they whip off their shoes and socks, but I doubt it.
Like what they've always believed
That's
in, like
dangerous.
faith. I feel like they deserve to at least like have that one thing, you know, like if you're gonna change your whole freaking faith on it, like just that one simple thing, it would be like after that you guys would literally have crossed like all the things that you guys could have possibly done. Like
Yeah.
you guys,
It's up to the spirits, truthfully. And I know that sounds super corny and you have to be in the room to really believe it, but it really is up to them. So it's more, you know, maybe sometime in the future. I think maybe off camera.
Yeah. Nice. I think it would help, at least for us and others out there, like, might as well try just to show us. And,
Yeah.
But we do have questions, and reading the internet, it's like, okay, there's skeptical people out there, and
but it's a big deal. Like it's people's like thoughts on the afterlife.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is huge. Like you are the only people that I know that have that type of ability. So it's like it is such a big deal, like to everyone's personal life too. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I'm like, holy cow, it like shifts people's way of thinking.
No matter what, just we're not going out of our way to prove ourselves to anybody. Believe in whatever you want, whether it's in support of us or not, and we'll still be doing it tomorrow.
yeah.
So.
I mean, hey, maybe one day we'll do the barefoot thing on or off camera. It doesn't matter.
He's really trying to push the on camera.
Because that's the main theory I think that's got people the most. Like, well,
Yes.
why can't we see him with their? Because like, if it's joint popping,
Yeah.
the only thing that does make sense is a foot. Because it's like all your weight's on that foot. It's probably the easiest thing.
I'm glad at 31 minutes in, you finally started pushing as hard as you should have been from the offset. I understand politeness and they've taken time out of their day. I understand all of that. I'm glad you've pushed this little bit harder towards the end. You've got a little bit of my respect-ish.
The pop without
Hey, look, it says respect behind him.
making much movement. So I think it would be the best test. Like,
Oh yeah.
Big time.
I think we should do that at some point.
Cody and Satori mocked, laughed, joked, skirted around the subject. I am more annoyed now than I ever was. I am more convinced now than I ever was. This is a load of 1800s bullshit and the internet combined to come up with this new method. They never ever answered the questions properly. They didn't, you know, they could have put an end to this there and then, stood up, Cody gone, oh, do you know what? Balls to it. Shoes, socks off. Story, you can leave yours on. Hold my hands. Tap, tap, tap. Holy shit. It's not him. You could have done that, and you didn't. Okay, I'm going to get this out for today, the 17th of February 2024, because this is important. This needs to be looked at. I was going to schedule this video as just a filler for next week, you know, sort of a Tuesday or a Wednesday, Thursday video. This is probably going to be the least amount of editing I've ever done, because I'm going to leave as much of this in as I can. Try to keep this under an hour, and I'm going to premiere it. And you're probably watching the premiere now like, we know, we're watching, dumbass. If you're in the premiere, we'll have already been discussing. But if you're watching this after the fact, or if you've just finished the premiere, please leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Keep it respectful, no hate, no toxicity. Adult conversation. Do you believe Cody and Satori? Was this interview enough to convince you? Do you think that this interview, like I think, has thrown up even more questions, and their dismissive nature, the dismissive attitude, the laughing, the mocking, and throwing around the word hate has actually left a really sour taste in your mouth? So let me know in the thoughts down below. Like, share, subscribe to the channel and all that stuff that I always forget to do because people keep shouting at me, why don't you read your analytics? I make the videos I want to make, and if they do well, they do well. If they don't, they don't. Much love to you all. Beardo out.